Yo, what's going on? I'm Juan Franco. I'm your host, Whatever Blows Your Hair Back. This is
Tyler Michek, co-host.
Today on the show, we have Olivia. She is a fighter, a boxer, beautiful girl from Cincinnati, born and raised in Cincinnati, Ohio, and she's taken off in her career in Chicago. Let's do it.
Whatever blows your hair back. Get your
All right, so we are on set today. We have the lovely Olivia with us today. She is a boxer. And where are you from, Olivia?
I'm originally from Cincinnati, Ohio, and then I've been in Chicago since I was 18, so most of my
That's a while.
life.
How old are you now?
I'm 32.
Okay, 32. And how did you end up in Chicago? Like,
I came here for school, so I went to college around here, and then I also have like a bunch of family here. So we would always come when I was a kid, visit my cousin who I'm really close to, and I have aunts and uncles, cousins here, and then I just stayed. After school, I have friends here, family, and I like it a lot better.
Where did you go to school?
Northwestern.
Oh, Northwestern.
So technically not Chicago, but I was in the city all the time. Anyway.
Yeah, for sure. If you go to school at Northwestern, they're partying.
Yeah,
Is that Evanston?
It's Evanston.
Oh, you went to.
They all come down here back when I was a bartender, or not working. They all would come. Whole buses. They take buses from school, drop the whole grade off, basically. Like, we'll be back at 2, kids. I'm the bouncer.
That wasn't me.
Was that you?
No.
Not saying you're on it, but that's what they do at Northwestern for you guys.
I'm sure people do. I was not like a sorority girl or anything like that. That wasn't me. But my cousin was in the city, so I would come and hang out with him all the time.
You didn't party? You didn't party in college?
Oh, I definitely partied in college.
Oh, yeah?
For sure. But just not in the same way. No party buses.
What was your major? What'd you?
Film. So I still do that.
Film.
Yeah, I still do that today. In a manner of speaking.
So are we doing okay here? Like, whatever blows your hair back? What do you think about our setup?
I mean, I think it's good. I saw your little gimbal earlier. That looked nice. I like the big softbox light here. I'll have to,
What's a gimbal?
It's the little thing you told me.
I'm still learning. I'm a business guy. That's why
I'll have to check it out after, but I don't want to critique anyone's lighting too much. I think we all look softly lit, looking pretty good. Hopefully, I like my face when I see you later.
Cool. Oh, I didn't know you were background in film. See, she was holding all that in.
And you have, I guess you have a full-time job in film. Is that what you do?
Yeah. So, I'm a freelancer. So I've been freelancing like basically since I graduated. Yeah. So right now I do a lot of post-production stuff, like mostly editorial for like commercials. And then sometimes directing, trying to get there, but I can't really be on set all the time when I'm boxing. So it's going to take a few more years, I think.
For sure. What's the biggest production you've been on so far?
Most of the commercial productions that I've done are kind of like mid-size. This is not quite the same, but way back in the day, I was a stunt double on that movie Divergent when they filmed here, and that was cool because it was a huge like.
So how does that like stunt double for what'd you do? Like what was your? Were you like doing flips?
I was doing. It was fighting. It was for fighting.
Oh, it was a boxer.
So I never want. I actually hate being on camera. I like never. I'm a behind the scenes person.
I know. And then you told me you're film. I'm like, wait, but I feel like a lot of film people don't like to be on camera.
No, because we're used to being the ones like
behind the camera.
Yeah. But for that ref, I had just started fighting Muay Thai, and a ref like passed my name on to the stunt coordinator because, of course, everyone in Hollywood is tiny, and they needed the actor. They needed someone to double for. She was like pretty big and tall, and they were doing Muay Thai elbows, and so. I learned really quickly though that like it's not like fighting; it's like dancing, and I'm not.
That's
a dancer,
why you were
so.
saying earlier. It's all coming together. It's like a circle. It's coming together. I see.
So how about your boxing? Like, how the heck does that? Like, so you're into film. Like, when does boxing happen for you?
That was when I was actually up at Northwestern, like near the end of college. I was just working over the summer. Like all my friends had gone home, had a job I didn't like, was bored. I was like, I should get in shape. I've been partying too much. I should get in shape. And I think I'd seen like Ong Bak, that movie. Have you seen that?
No.
It's like a Thai. It's called Ong Bak. It's a
Thai
action
is it a foreign film?
Yeah, but like you guys should check it out. It's awesome action. And they do kind of a Muay Thai style fighting. So I joined this gym, took a class, and the coach there just happened to be like, he actually knew his shit.
Yeah.
And then, you start fighting eventually, and now my whole life is different, and I don't know why. You know?
Yeah. And
nuts.
when was it that you decided to take like a serious path? Like at first it was just to get in shape.
Yeah.
So when does boxing become like a thing for you?
Well, I think like pretty soon, even back then, I was training a lot, even when I just started, because I think, yeah, I was having like a lot of trouble sleeping. I was like going through some other sort of like, maybe like mental health stuff, other sort of life challenges. And yeah, it helped me sleep. I was exhausted every night after training, and I could finally fall asleep. And so that kind of got me into the mode of training hard.
Yeah.
And then when I had, I started fighting as an amateur, and you start fighting and it kind of becomes like an addictive thing.
Yeah.
But then I only got serious in that sense, like fighting at a higher level, maybe really 4 years ago. Actually, something came up on my phone today of one of my first tournaments
Nice.
ever.
So was it initially was it just the focus was Muay Thai or so when
yeah.
have you ever fought like a amateur Muay Thai fight or
Yeah, so I had, I think, 11 amateur Muay Thai fights. And at the same time, I would try to do one boxing fight a year in the Golden Gloves, just like for practice for my hands.
yeah
So I always had a couple amateur boxing fights. But then I didn't start, it was maybe 4 or 5 years ago, I kind of transitioned over because I fought everyone I could. Like I fought the girl who had won the A-class level Muay Thai championship for all of North America.
Did you
And
beat her?
No, she beat me.
She's
But I was
pretty good.
she, it was close. It was a split decision.
Oh, yeah?
Not my
Nice,
best
nice.
performance, but yeah, she's tough. But mostly it was just,
What's her name?
oh gosh, I don't even remember
Yeah?
anymore.
Oh,
She was Canadian.
Canadian.
Super nice.
Canadians are tough.
Yeah. And actually, weirdly, a huge Muay Thai culture up there.
They
Yeah.
could be tough. There's tough people everywhere.
There is tough people everywhere.
Yeah, if you look at
Yeah,
But-
are the Cincinnatians tough too?
Well, you know what's funny? Cincinnati has a great boxing history.
Oh, yeah?
And I didn't know that when I was a kid. I didn't know anything about boxing, did not grow up watching boxing at all. But now, like, my mom's a nurse, and one of her patients is the son of a super famous pro boxer. He boxes professionally. He fought one of my teammates.
Oh wow.
So, yeah, it's rich history, but I didn't know that till after I left.
So how about let's go back to the Muay Thai. What do you think you're better at, Muay Thai or boxing?
Well, now definitely boxing.
Yeah?
I think if you put me in there, a Muay Thai fight now, I'd need a little brushing up on some skills first.
Yeah.
But I think it's a body type thing too. Like a lot of the girls that do Muay Thai, they're just way smaller than me. So there weren't a lot of people my
Your
size
weight
to fight.
class, yeah.
For boxing, it's a little more like, okay, having like a solid base is like a good
Yeah.
thing. You having that kind of like hip power is
Yeah.
a good thing. So I think I'm better suited for it.
Did you have a hard time transitioning? Like MMA guys, like you see them sometimes, they try to throw somebody down. They like to wrap
Yeah.
up the box. They love to clinch. And like, I get that. Like muscle memory, those guys can't fight that. Like I know
Yeah.
why they do that, especially like McGregor, but he did that a lot
Yes.
when he boxed. But that's normal, and do you experience that?
When I first started, I think it actually went the opposite direction, where I was afraid to like even get close because I was afraid that I was gonna like clinch
Wrap
up
up,
and throw
yeah.
a knee
Yeah,
or something.
yeah.
And even to this day, it's only been the last like since Trinidad has had me that he's like, yeah, you can get a little rough, like clinch, like wrap them up. You can do that in boxing, right? I was so afraid for the longest time, like, oh, but you're not supposed to, But at the end of the day, it's a fight.
And that's when you can think, like when you do it, when you go in the ring and I don't black out, but there's some tunnel vision that goes on to where that's why that happens. It's like your conscience and everything. It's just you get a clinch, you get like a trauma. It's like, oh, last time I was in this, fucking I
Right.
whipped a knee and got out of it. And so your brain just like, oh, I'm in a situation where it's tight. Like that's how I think. And I'm
You
like,
see
oh.
people doing that, yeah.
Yeah,
all
you
the
whip a
time.
knee. A guy got out before. That's what I do when I
Yeah.
fight. I think about how did I escape this last time. I need to do that.
Right. Yeah. I had a little bit of that at first. Not anymore. Luckily, I'm not gonna elbow anyone or
Yeah.
Although that was fun. That was the most fun part of Muay Thai that I miss.
What's your your strong point? Your jab, your hook.
I think so. We've been working really hard on perfecting my jab. So at this point, I think my jab is pretty solid.
I think that's important. Like you're tall,
I'm tall.
and
I think it's
you
very
got to
important.
use that.
I mean, I think you go back to the Canelo fight with the Russian. I mean,
Yeah.
that guy's he
Jab,
did
just-
perfect, just the jab.
Jab,
Yeah,
that's all you need to do.
simple.
And he was pivoting off his back foot. It was incredible. watching
Yeah,
fight.
yeah, you're right.
Is that kind of what you're trying to develop?
Yeah, I mean, I think the sense of distance I think is really important for me. But you never know because eventually I will fight someone taller. I have in the amateurs, in the pros. I
Eventually you
haven't yet.
will, but you know, it's not a lot.
Not a lot. Yeah,
Not a
I'm
lot out
usually
there, so-
tall for my weight.
And you're always gonna have your jab, and then when you fight another tall person, obviously that's gonna be their strength too.
Right.
Right, and so.
And then it's more exciting then too because I think actually this next fight coming up, she's about my same height. So I think it'll be interesting to see like how that shakes out. I might have to.
How do
go
you
with a
feel
different
about
game
going
plan.
in, like going in close to the body? How do you feel about that?
I have been working on the body. I think going to the body has been one of my weaker points in the past, and
Yeah.
sometimes it is literally. Sometimes I'm so much taller than people. I'm like I can't get down there.
I know
It's
what
hard
you're
to get
talking about. I'm
down
a
there, you know?
taller guy too.
Or
yeah.
the opportunity's not quite. Their center of gravity's so low. It's just like not there as
The
much.
opportunity's not there.
But when I can find that spot, yeah, I mean it's fun to rip to the body. I like that too.
Yeah. I know what you mean by being tall. It's like you got to reach down under, and when you drop down real low, you're almost uncomfortable, and then your hair face is right there for them to
Right,
hit too.
yeah.
So you're vulnerable. I feel like with shorter people too, whipping in uppercuts sometimes.
Yeah, for
So,
sure.
so you're still an amateur boxer,
I'm a pro boxer.
a pro
now,
boxer
yeah.
now. Okay,
She's
when
talking.
did
She
you?
was talking to amateur. Yeah.
Okay, when did you turn pro?
A year ago, almost exactly.
Oh, okay, so
So
it's
it's only
recent.
been 1 year, but we've had a lot of fights.
Oh,
we
really?
fought 5 times
Oh wow.
last year.
And what's
Yeah.
what's like the norm for a boxer per year?
It kind of
usually?
depends, but I mean, even some of the guys, like they're busy if they're fighting 3 times a year, you know. So
wow.
5 times is a lot. I think the bigger you get, like, you know, if you're a Canelo, you're only fighting maybe once a year, maybe
You
twice.
want to hold that belt as long as you can. I mean,
And you
it's
need
like,
more
how long-
time to prepare. I think it's just harder.
too.
The business aspect takes.
I think
longer
it's
to
all
work
about
out.
staying at top the longest.
Yeah, yeah.
I think it's
that
all about
too.
staying at top. It's like, wow, I worked my ass to get here. I want to be the champ and like not having to fight for for at least a year. If you give them 2 years,
Oh, yeah,
they would
people
take the
would.
2 years.
Yeah, they
I
might.
would reign the champ that long, guaranteed. So then everyone has to wait 2 years to get back up
I
there.
know, and I think that's like kind of a bummer. Like I do wish that some of those bigger fighters would fight more often, but there is a limit because people forget like it's not like basketball or something. Like it really takes a toll on your body.
Yeah.
You need time afterwards
Do
to
you think
recover.
do you think that your body has taken a toll on the last
Oh yeah,
year
for
the
sure.
5 fights?
I know it has. Yeah.
Really?
Nothing, not in any sort of bad way. I think like the normal thing you would expect, but
The normal wear and tear.
normal wear and tear, and just also like you can't live a normal life when you're
When you're
training.
fighting that much.
And so like, you know, I always want to stay in shape. I'm never taking like, oh, I'm going to take 3 weeks off. That never ever happens. But there's a difference between training and then like, oh, we're getting ready for a fight training. Those are 2 different things. And the second one, it's like a pretty brutal experience. So if you're doing that constantly all year round, it gets like
Yeah. Have you ever
tiring.
showed up to work and been like just black
Oh
eye?
yeah, definitely.
What are your coworkers
Yeah,
say?
one.
I think people think it's kind of cool if they know. Like I try to like put it out there. You know, my friends and like close coworkers and stuff, they know, so they get it.
What about your date? What if you showed up to a date with a black
Well,
and blue
I
eye?
You showed up to a
Tinder,
date with a black guy?
Tinder
Yeah.
date with a black and
In-
blue eye.
Are you
Please.
single, by the way?
I am now. I was in a relationship for the last like almost 6 years, so recent
6
breakup.
years. Jesus
Oh, it
Christ.
sounds like your boxing career. Once that started, that ended. No,
Maybe,
the same time
maybe
frame, right? You
it
said,
is kind
like-
of the same time frame.
Oh, yeah.
Haven't really thought about that. But maybe that's true.
Was it a man or?
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
So you're into guys.
Yeah,
Or you
I
into-
mean,
Or you swing both ways or?
I'm trying to.
Hey,
You know what?
You don't
I'm in
have to
a,
answer.
Is he really asking me
I'm
this
in
right
a
now?
phase of my life now where I am I'm single again. I'm open to figuring
ideas?
out
Yeah.
figuring out what I like.
Okay, that's fair.
I'll say
So ladies and guys and ladies, she's single for everybody.
that's right. Yeah. People can shoot their shot, but
cool.
Yeah.
You want to give your Instagram handle? Or
hey, if they're cute enough, you know,
Send it.
bring it on.
Send
bring
it.
on.
She's gonna show up with a black and blue eye and give you a black and blue eye.
It is tough though because I do feel bad walking around like, you know, my poor boyfriend was like, half the time I'm walking around looking like
Yes,
there's
for
like
sure.
domestic violence going on, and
Yo,
he was
bro.
like a really sweet guy. So I'm like, man, yeah, it's probably not.
So you date like more, so he's a really sweet guy. So is it a last like, oh, hey, what can I do for you today? Can I get you a bowl of cereal? Give it. I'm going to
get you a bowl of
punch you in the
cereal?
fucking face. You don't give me a bowl of cereal.
know-
Oh, I'm sorry. Is that the dynamic we're
No,
getting here?
I try to keep
That's what I picked up.
try to keep it in the ring, Like I think no one should be violent in relationships.
You don't want to pull an
ever.
Amber Heard.
Well, I mean,
No.
yeah. No
I think,
shit.
talking it out. That's like
Alright, good,
communication, open communication.
So you
is
don't
the way to go.
resort to violence.
No.
So like the last
no.
thing.
She's-
So good question. Like, have you ever been to like a street fight? Have you ever utilized your boxing skills to get you out of a problem?
A little bit, although it's interesting. So I do not get into street fights. I'll
Yes, she
put that
does.
out there.
Yes, she does.
But it is nice to know a little
That you can defend
something.
yourself, yeah.
However, I will say, and I've talked about this a ton with people, that like boxing is a sport. There are rules. There's equipment. There's a referee in there with you. And I think it's a bad idea to let your ego get to the point where you think like, well, now I can just handle whatever. Like I'm still a woman. I'm still like I just know partly from experience and partly just because you can kind of feel it that like, oh yeah, if a 200-pound dude like is grappling me or like wrestling me or something, there's not like what am I gonna do?
You don't take an uppercut.
You're
someone?
uppercutting
It's
him
not
is what
gonna
you're
stop
doing.
someone.
You're
It
uppercutting him.
depends.
So,
it depends.
but hold on. Have you been in a fight? Like a street fight before?
I've been in a situation where I had to defend myself physically. Yes.
And what happened? What
That was like it was right after I started training Muay Thai. I don't think I'd even had an amateur fight yet, so it was a little different. I think maybe today I would have responded differently.
Yeah.
Muscle
But
memory would have
yeah,
kicked in.
exactly. And back then I was kind of like more confused than anything. It was a literal like stranger danger situation. Like a dude followed me into the apartment building that I was going into
Oh, shit.
and like attacked me. And
Damn.
but he was clearly like mental, like he had some
mentally
like
ill,
yeah,
yeah.
mentally ill, had some issues going on where there's almost a part of me that was like, and he wasn't immediately like hurting me, right? It was more of like a sexual assault type of like thing.
Damn.
So my immediate thought was like, what do I even do? Like I don't know if the response should be to like deck this
Me-
guy.
You didn't, at this
you
point, you
know?
didn't know if is this threatening? Is he mentally handicapped? Does he know he's doing this?
And also, I was in
Oh.
a foreign country at that time.
Oh, shit.
And I was a little like, I don't know what the punishment like.
Yeah, you
I-
don't wanna bring
you
the
don't wanna-
cops around. Yeah, yeah,
exactly.
yeah. Oh,
So
this is a local.
So, but it did get physical. But it was more like I wasn't like boxing him, right? It's not like it turns into a Rocky movie. I slapped him around. I pushed him down some stairs. He came running back up, and I was like, oh, that's not normal. Like, this is not good. And then eventually, some other dude who like lived in the building came up, and he kind of solved the problem for me because he did not care, and he decked the guy in the face and like dragged him out, But it lasted for like a good 15 minutes up to that
Wow.
point. And at least I will say, like, look, I don't think it was necessarily the Muay Thai training or whatever at that point that helped me out. But I'm like, okay, well, I guess the good thing is, even though that was really scary and like a shitty experience, at least like it wasn't worse, right? So maybe there's a little part of that of the fight or flight thing. That's
Sure,
like,
I
at
think
least I reacted in some way.
Well, you were
for
thinking.
sure.
You were
There's
being able to
training,
think with
absolutely,
pressure
yeah.
on.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And that comes from the combat sport.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But even that, like, I mean, this is kind of a tangent, but like women's self-defense classes, like I have a thing about that where I'm like, I don't think I think they're kind of scams because it takes years of sparring before you feel comfortable. Like now, if someone comes, now I feel like I have the experience that I would react in a
Accordingly.
calmer
Well, you
way.
wouldn't think.
right?
Is
And
what
I
you're
could,
talking
like,
about is muscle memory. It's
Yeah.
like that, we teach a lot of that in the Marine Corps. Your basic arm and hand, all those older classes that you're talking about, those are arm, wrist, finger manipulations.
Yeah,
that don't
but that
take a lot.
takes a lot. But it takes.
It takes a skill set of a brain.
Yeah, like, are you really gonna remember that?
You're
in
not.
The moment?
No,
Yeah.
that's where you're right. You're right. Like they're not gonna snap into that.
Right.
But like a Marine, with 10 years of doing
Of
it
doing
every
it, they
day.
will. Right.
Like me, I've been into fights where I was on the ground and I had a dude's wrist burrow back and he was screaming. And
Yeah.
I went, whoa, sorry, dude. Like I
Yeah.
snapped to that, and I had it down. I had him twisted. I didn't think one time.
Yeah.
I ended up in that position.
Because of instinct and practice.
It's in
and
my
everything,
instinct. If you're getting a scrap with me now, I'm going to try to break your wrist.
Yeah.
Like my brain is going for your wrist. Like I already know that right now. So I think that's where those classes kind of, it's good, but you got to start somewhere.
time,
And you got to
yeah.
do that for 10 years.
And just knowing it like intellectually, like someone like kind of teaching you and maybe they sort of demonstrated one time, that's a lot different. Even in boxing, right? You have these like fitness boxing classes, which are great. You get in shape, teaches you the basic moves. Any of those people, the first day of sparring, all of a sudden, all of that
Nothing.
goes out the window. They're just like,
It's stopped. That's what I'm
it's
saying.
a
It's
street
not
fight.
in.
Yeah, it goes
Yeah,
away.
so it just takes years and years for that to become real. I used to think like that, even in the Marines, like, dude, this is not real. Like, you be the person, and I'm like trying to.
Yeah.
And if this guy gets any resistance, this is gonna fall apart.
Yes.
But if I dive into you and I just focus on your wrist, like I'm gonna rip down and twist and pull.
Right.
And like my brain's already ready for that. But it took years and years
Yeah.
to get there.
And the things that you would do in a street fight are not the things you're going to do in a boxing ring.
Correct.
And vice
correct.
versa.
But
kinda
yeah,
too,
it goes
you know?
whatever your skill is that you learn, like your muscle memory that you resort to, I guess, is whatever it is.
Yeah.
So going back to your relationship, so you guys ended because of boxing, or
No,
personal
no,
stuff?
not because of boxing. I think just like it's just one of those things. Like we were together a really long time. We both really loved each other. Kind of
Just got old.
communication issues, like different future
Different
paths.
paths.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
Clean exit. Clean exit. they
Clean
call it.
exit. It's a clean break.
Clean break.
Is it?
Yeah.
Is it intimidating for guys now that like for you?
I'm not even
as-
dating yet again. This was only
Okay.
like a few months ago.
Oh, it's only a few
and
months
yeah,
ago.
so I
You
don't
might go
even
back.
But
You
you're
might be like,
not-
this shit ain't
yeah.
for me. I'm going.
maybe.
over it.
We're
Maybe.
we're trying not to do that,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
no, I'm like not even ready to date yet, honestly.
Yeah.
But I don't
And
know.
also your focus is different, right? Like right now your focus is on
I
boxing,
think
right?
it's also hard. I do have some fear of my focus is on boxing, and that's not an easy person to be with. Like I wouldn't be an easy person. People are gonna be like, oh yeah, great, first date, you want to go out to eat, you want to go out for a drink. I'll be like, well, can't do that, can't stay out late.
Yeah,
you know,
that
it's
sucks. You
it's
suck.
tough.
You
So
suck.
so obviously
I
you're-
know, right? That's not super
I
fun.
just thought about it. Like, if I went on a date with a girl,
That's
she's
exactly
like,
what I
I
want to
can't
do.
drink or
yeah.
food.
Yeah.
I'd be
Drink
like,
and eat.
Yeah.
fuck.
Gotta go on a walk.
And you
in
got
the
a black
park.
and blue eye.
Right. Yeah.
The
It's
fuck?
tough.
And I'm eating with you, and like people are, fuck
Yeah.
yeah, you know, I never really
It's
looked at
tough.
that
Well,
perspective.
yeah. Thank you for putting my mind at ease. I'm sure it'll be super easy, and I'll find someone in no time. So.
Do you use dating platforms or no?
I have in the past, but it's been like 6 years, so I don't
you're
know.
dating
I'm
apps,
not
you're
on them
not-
you're
now.
not actively
no.
on
That was the window
No.
of dating apps.
Which
6 years.
which
Yeah,
one would
right?
you use? Tinder, Bubble? If you had to. Or
I've never
Hinge?
used one of the like nice ones. I've only ever used Tinder,
Oh,
which
okay.
I mean,
Well,
variable
now you're
success.
dating. Now you're going both ways. I think it's Grinder.
Oh yeah.
Grindr. You know, don't throw out Grinder. I heard that's a good one.
Okay. Isn't that mostly for like gay dudes though?
Yeah, my
Oh,
brother.
gay- those gay
I have a
people.
I don't
gay
know.
brother, and he loves
gay dudes?
Grindr.
I mean, basically, I think it's
I
mostly
didn't
dudes, but I
didn't
mean,
know
you
that.
never know. Different
I
people
didn't
might
know
like
that. I
to.
thought
You
it
never
was
know.
gay. What's one for women?
But
What's a
well,
woman?
they have. There's. I don't know what they're called, but there's a bunch out there now. There's like a million dating apps.
Yeah,
So,
there is. There's one for every income now.
Yeah,
Kind of,
I'm
yeah.
launching an app, and questionably it could be classified as.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
launching
I'll
one?
call it
Yeah,
one.
yeah.
What's
I'm
the?
Ask her what she thinks if it's a dating
Yeah.
app.
What's the pitch
All right,
here?
so the pitch. I'll give you the pitch, and you tell me if you think it's a
Okay.
dating app. So basically, it's an app for people to be able to share their seat selection on flights, so that they can see who's on that flight instead of having to sit beside somebody random.
Okay.
They can kind of like see, okay, search the flight number, and say, oh look, so and so is sitting in seat, 8A,
Like, I'll sit
and
next
he
to
looks like an interesting person. Maybe I'll sit beside him or her. It can be for networking.
She looks hot.
So what do you think? Do you think dating
I
app?
feel
or?
like.
Watch the
I have several
commercial.
thoughts. One, isn't this kind of like gym class where like, what if you're the one person that everyone's like, I'm not sitting next to that person. Although maybe then you get like the empty
You don't know anyone.
seat.
You're flying. You're flying. You don't really know them, but that person puts their name on there, so you can look them up. You can creep them out a little bit.
Well, you don't have to put their name. It
I
could be a
definitely
handle.
feel
It
like
could just be a
people would
social
creep
media
on
handle.
people.
Oh,
So maybe
it-
you need to have a feature where people can be like,
Stealth mode.
no, like maybe it has to be like Tinder where you both match, where someone's like, I want to sit next to you, and then the other person can say yes.
Yeah.
Or they can be like, no, I know that dude's gonna
He's
be
also
great.
made a commercial though. It's like subliminal advertising. It's a really hot chick and a really good-looking guy, and they're both looking at their phones and they're catching the same flight, and they're all like,
Well, that'd be cute. That'd be
ooh.
a
And then they
nice
meet
little
on the
meet cute.
airplane and they're all like, ooh, and I'm like, that's a fucking love movie.
Yeah, or they meet on the airplane and start a conversation, and then they realize they have nothing in common.
Yeah, they didn't show that part of the commercial.
Well, yeah, of course.
So I just, took
I'm
it
not
off.
really an airplane talker.
So
I don't
dating
know.
app or no dating app?
It
What would
could
you
be.
classify it
I
as?
mean, you couldn't, like Tinder now is trying to do this thing of like, and you can use it to make friends, but
Oh,
like
yeah,
no one
yeah.
uses it for that. But you could
People
do
are
that.
using it to make friends with benefits.
Yeah, which
For
is a little
sure.
different.
Well, you got to
So
think about
talk
what your
about friends
first
with
one's-
benefits. Are you for or against friends with benefits?
I'm for. Again,
Yeah.
I think only with open and honest communication.
Yeah,
I feel like
for
that's like
sure.
the most important part.
I mean, I think
right?
in a situation like we all have needs. We can't. I mean, right? We all agree on that.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Definitely, yeah.
so
Yeah.
with that said, a person like yourself that's in boxing, you're actively an athlete, you don't have time for a relationship, but you have time for other things.
Yeah,
Friends with-
maybe.
You know what I'm saying? And if friends with benefits.
What are these
for-
other
for your
things? You can't go out
situation,
to eat, can't
you know,
drink.
No.
would
But you,
be-
you can.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying.
Converse.
Yeah.
That's what you're talking about, right?
What is
She's
it
like,
called?
well, only thing left's talking. That's what you're talking about, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
you could benefit from that type of a relationship. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? Because you're just meeting your personal needs.
I'm not anti that.
Right.
Eventually, probably it'd be nice to.
I feel like you're
Something
open. I feel
more.
like you got this new career you're starting. You got your filming career. You're this boxer now. It's kind of a new identity you're kind of taking on, and you just got to have a relationship. And you're like, maybe I don't really like. Maybe I'm open to liking other people. This is a new identity that I'm looking to explore. And so if you present all that, it's like kind of like you're like this new person coming
yeah,
into
I feel
something.
like- I
You're
feel
looking
like that
for
too.
a change.
I mean,
you
that's
know?
sort of like a nice way to think about it. I like that you said that boxing is an identity because I think that is very true. That like it definitely feels like
You can take it as an idea.
you can make it into. It's not something innate. Like I think sometimes people, boxers especially, it's like you get a lot of people who are like, well, I was born a fighter. I was always a fighter.
Like
I fight in everything.
Trinidad is his identity as a boxer.
But also, I think like no one, you get to choose what you do in life, right? No,
Yeah.
you might have boxed since you were 5, but no one told you you had to do that forever, right?
Correct.
And people make that choice. You make the choice every day. I think boxing, especially, it's so
Yeah.
hard, and it takes so much work that like you really are making the choice constantly, and
To
every
have that
once in
your
a while,
identity.
to make that a huge part of your life.
So I thought that don't get this twisted, but I thought that you would want to make it your at this career path right now as a professional fighter. I feel you should be comfortable, or you would want to be comfortable saying, "Yes, I'm a boxer. This is my identity. I am a professional boxer." The quicker you believe that, like when I said I'm a business owner when I was 25, I didn't fucking believe it
Yeah.
myself. I kept saying it, but I don't really make any
The
money. and it-
imposter syndrome, right? That's
yeah,
what they call it.
yeah, and it's like, but I am a business owner. This is what we do. Let's make signs that say CEO, and let's put it as our title on Facebook. Like you, I looked up your Instagram, pro boxer. That's when I go. She took that identity.
Yeah.
She is a professional boxer. That's why it's like, when do you get the balls to say that?
Do you
Like,
feel comfortable saying that you're a boxer?
Now,
Like,
yeah,
I'm a
because
professional
because
boxer.
I do it. I think
Yeah.
becoming
So when you
pro, maybe.
if you introduce yourself to me as a complete stranger and I asked you what you did, what would you say?
I'd probably say both. I'd probably first say, and it depends. It kind of depends who it
see,
is.
that's the problem. You're already
right?
justified. You're like, it already didn't go. No, I'm a professional boxer. What's up?
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. Like when you're really ready, like you're still questioning it because you know you're a professional boxer, right? But like you know that other things pay the bills, so it's like.
I think that's why, and actually, it's like a good point that I think we're also sort of like. It's the way our society works, right? That like we live under capitalism, so we think whatever's making us the most money that month is what we do, right? But like, how do I spend my time? I spend half my time editing or doing film production work or whatever, and I spend at least that much, if not more time, boxing. And the money situation, I'm getting paid for fights now, which is great, right? But I'm not a millionaire, and maybe someday, if that balance changes, then I'll be like, I'm a pro boxer first and this second. Right now, I'm kind of like, well,
I think
I
it
have
makes
both
sense.
of these.
So, like,
yeah.
where's the money coming? Like, that's where I didn't right now. Like, where am I making money from? Like, and that And that's our lead because it is a capitalistic world. So I don't necessarily maybe agree with that, but it makes sense. Like that's how we're doing it, whether
Yeah.
we
It
agree
makes
with it or
sense.
not.
It makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense, and that's how we're doing it. I never broke it down.
But it also sort of is like, okay, you have, say you're one of those actors in LA who's still working at the coffee shop.
Yeah,
but,
well,
but maybe you're also doing
I'm
like
an artist.
But maybe you are, right? And I think some of those people are like, they're probably going to be a barista for a while, right? Like they're not like super great at acting.
They ruin that's the guys that ruin it.
But also some of those people are like super talented and do amazing work, and they should be able to identify as artists.
I think honestly, like
Yeah,
I used
but
to be
we
a
don't- we
professional
gotta respect
model when I was growing up, and I always very like I was always very I try to be very humble, so I never really put myself out there. I mean, that was like my 100% my living. That's all I did as a job, you know. But I never was like, I never introduced myself as a professional model because I felt like I didn't want to have an ego,
Yeah.
you know. But I think maybe I should have, you know.
If you ask me, you should have.
I agree.
Yeah.
From a business perspective, you should have.
That's
And I
who
think
you are.
From your perspective, I think you should because you're in a position now where you're fighting, where you're training, where you're passionate about what you're doing. And I personally think going forward, you know, it's just my opinion. I think that's what you got to go for. Like I'm a professional boxer.
No, I
That's
agree.
gotta
I
be your
think
business card.
turning pro helped me do that. I think
Oh,
I
for
was
sure.
boxing almost this much, training almost as much as an amateur the last few years. But
It gave you
then I
credentials,
really
too.
wasn't making money, right? So that was tough. But now I feel like, oh no, I am a pro. Like I'm under contract. I have a manager. I have a coach. Like
It's
all
organized.
come together.
It's
yeah.
coming together.
So that feels good.
And then in a couple years, you probably will be able to respond that to more intense. Give yourself a couple more fights and knockouts. You're gonna be like, yeah, I'm a professional fucking boxer.
well, because
What's
that's
up?
the first question people are going to ask, right? So, well, who
Who'd you
have you
fight?
fought? Where can I watch you on
Well,
TV?
that
How
was-
much money
so
are
that
you
was
making?
the next question
That
I
was-
was
you
going to
probably-
ask is like, who, you know, well, not who have you fought, but what was your amateur boxing record? Like, have you ever been knocked out?
I've never been knocked out. Well, I've been never in a fight, never by a woman. I've been dropped a couple of times by men who are over 180 pounds in sparring,
Yeah.
but that's it. Only once or twice. But no, never been knocked out in a fight.
Have you lost a technical?
Oh yeah, I've lost many times because what happened with boxing is that I came in from Muay Thai. I had a great Muay Thai record, switched over, and I was just kind of on my own, didn't really, like I was at a gym but didn't really have a coach. I was just going to these tournaments alone, and so I fought a lot of good girls.
You were entering
Yeah, that's what I
yourself
want to
into
touch on.
tournaments.
So we're kind of skipping
Yeah,
on that.
yeah.
Where we talk about. She enters a lot of tournaments. Well, look, that's where she was discovered from Trinidad founder.
So you would just enter yourself in these tournaments?
Yeah, I would
Yeah.
drive down
That
like
takes
there
a lot
is-
of balls.
Yeah.
That's what we're gonna
But I
say.
knew there would be people from Chicago like Trinidad and Lalo who I could get them to wrap my hands and be in my corner. But yeah, I didn't go with anyone, so I'd go pay for Airbnb.
Crazy.
So you
Isn't
went
it?
without a
House.
corner.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
crazy.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
is what showed up
That's
to fight.
wild, yeah.
But that shows dedication. I
Yeah,
think
it
that's
does.
why she's here. And that just shows right there. It's a perfect example.
Yeah.
She went to the ship by herself without a team.
And how the
Look,
hell-
'cause that's where we need to be.
How was the approach? Like, where were you like, hey, you know, guys, hey, in that corner, hey, I need a wrap and I need a
Usually-
cut man over here.
Usually I worked it out beforehand. So
Okay.
you kind of, the boxing community in Chicago is like pretty tight.
Pretty tight,
So
man.
that
so you already
it was
knew
nice.
these kind of names before.
Yeah, I knew them, and I'd say like, hey, you mind, like I'm going down, you mind cornering me? They'd always be cool. The only problem is that they were not my trainers at the time, right? Trinidad and Lalo, they didn't know how I fought. They had never taught me anything. So every once in a while, it's like I start fighting, they'll say some stuff in the corner, and they don't even know whether I can do that or not, right? So it's hard on them too to be a good cornerman because they're like, we don't know how she fights, you know, like she'll do
I never
whatever.
thought about that.
And there were some tough fights. I think my sixth amateur fight ever was in the National Women's Golden Gloves.
And you enter yourself in that, or?
Well, that one I
qualified for?
qualified because I won the Chicago Golden Gloves. So they sent me,
Okay.
which was great.
It's a big deal. If you win the tournament here local, sorry to keep
Yeah,
interrupting
yeah,
you, but
no,
I'm
go for it.
explaining what's going on. So the tournament here in Chicago, then you go to like nationals, and that's hard to advance when you go to nationals. So she advanced to there, and then you finished your story.
Yeah. So that was my very first one. Actually, the first year that women had ever been sent. They never used to pay for us before. This was the very first year, so that was cool. But I was fighting a weight class up just because of there's no one at my weight class in Chicago. So I moved one up. And then I ended up getting matched up with the girl on the national team who had like 60 fights, had fought at all these international tournaments, and she's a weight class heavier than me. Now she fights like 3 weight classes. Like she's a heavyweight now.
Yeah.
She's a big girl. And it was a tough
name?
fight. Crystal Dixon. I think she's
Dixon.
still fighting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
she
how
hit
did
hard.
that go?
Well, I lost.
But she was a tough opponent.
She's a tough
obviously.
opponent.
And she was a weight class above you.
Exactly. But I gave it, a good go. And then it was a good wake-up call of like, oh, I'm at this bigger tournament. I'm seeing people from all over the country. Like, this is a different level. I have to, like, learn some stuff if I'm going to keep doing this, you know?
Yeah.
She came in the hard way, I
So,
would say.
yeah, I agree.
I
I
would say.
agree. So at that point, when you had that fight, was that the catalyst for you to say, okay, I need a trainer. I need formal boxing gym.
So it was a catalyst for me to kind of quit Muay Thai and move more into boxing, but I was still at that other gym for a while, sort of like, and I don't want to make it seem like no one ever helped me. Like, people were super nice there, super great. People would hold mitts every once in a while, just out of the kindness of their heart, but no one was like dedicated to working with me. So then it wasn't until the pandemic, and I had already decided I think I want to go pro. Like, I don't think I'm quite done with boxing. I either have to quit based on how my amateur career was at the time. The Olympics were happening already. Wasn't on the Olympic team, so I'm like, well, I'm not going to wait 4 years. I'm getting older.
Did you
I'll
do
go
trials
pro.
for the Olympics? Or?
I did not. I wanted to. I mean, I went to the tournaments to try to qualify, and I ended up, got kind of a bad draw. I lost a split decision in the first round of the qualifying tournament, but that girl ended up winning.
And at this point, you
So
still
it's
didn't have a
like-
trainer, right?
Right. I didn't.
That's
so,
incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, that's incredible for you to like go try out for the. I mean, you should give yourself
Grind.
a pat
It's called
on
the
back
grind.
because,
It's called the
because
grind.
honestly, like you had no formal
No
training.
support.
Yeah,
You know,
it's tough to look
to
back
be
on
in the
it though
Olympics,
and know
I mean-
like, oh, maybe I could have actually. I have no doubt if I had gone to Trinidad and done what I'm doing now back then, that I would have been in Olympic trials. I have no doubt. But
That's awesome. But
it
hey, man,
didn't happen.
We all have a path, and
Yeah.
now you are. So what made you like reach out to these guys, or did they reach out to you?
No, it was me. I think they reached out just for some sparring or something, kind of around that
Dad
time.
was saying that he kept seeing you.
Yeah,
He just kept seeing her. He
Yeah.
would go to these tournaments, didn't know her, see her, And so then after that, he's like, oh, she's showing up to work. And then I can't remember how you guys came together after that, but that's, I think, how you guys came.
Yeah.
Am I
It was
correct on that?
Yeah,
Am I
these
correct?
tournaments where like every once in a while, I don't even know if Trinidad cornered me. Lalo, the assistant coach there, he cornered me a few times. So we would talk, like he kind of knew who I was. And
Great
then I
guy,
went to
Lalo.
them.
Lalo, this is the greatest guy ever.
Oh yeah, Lalo's
Just
amazing.
another story. You were like didn't have anyone representing you. He sees someone in Chicago. He's wrapping your hands. He's taking. No one. And people are
He does
assholes
that
at
for
fight.
everyone, Like people are always this poor guy. He goes to any
I know
tournament,
that. He's
and there's
the
like
man.
26 kids who are like, "Can you wrap my hands?" Because he wraps them really well.
He is
and
like
he's
the
just
best
so
guy,
nice.
and he is just the Chicago. To me, you got all the promoters, right? You got all the trainers. He's really special to me, Lalo. Like, cause you
Yeah.
just walk into a ring, he's running the room wherever he goes in every ring. I don't care who owns it. I don't care who the promoters are. That dude's running it. He's
Yeah.
like jumping in boxing rings. He's training another guy. He's getting somebody on deck. He's breathing hard. He's moving, and I just see that wherever I've seen him in multiple gyms. I've watched.
He's
his
a great
career.
corner too. Like I remember one of the last amateur fights I had. So the way that it works is like the nationals, not Golden Gloves, but just the USA Boxing Nationals. When it's in an Olympic year, that is Olympic trials, but all the other years, it's basically the same tournament. They just don't call
That's
it
a
Olympic
bummer, though,
trials.
isn't it, right?
It is.
Like,
So
oh.
I did go to that one year.
But it wasn't the right year.
It wasn't the right year,
Ah,
but I
yeah.
fought a girl who did end up making the Olympic team, and that was a tough fight. I got my ass kicked the first round. Then about halfway through the second round, Lalo was cornering me for that. It was the same kind of thing where I'd just gone kind of on my own, but he was cornering me. And he kind of got in my face, and he's like, "What are you doing?" Like, he really knew how to motivate me, kind of yelled at me. And, like, at that point in my life,
Yeah,
no
I
one
can
had
see- I
cornered
see
me
that
like that
side of him.
before. I was like, oh, shit, I'm going to disappoint Lalo. Like, oh, no. So I really, like, turned it around, but it was too late. She
That's
won.
true. I see. I know
But-
the times when you like, oh, I'm about to let this person down. I can see it. Like,
yeah,
what
it's
the
a
fuck did you
huge
see?
motivator.
Oh, yeah.
Does it affect? Pardon me. Does it affect you? Like, like having somebody in your corner?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah?
And I
Does it motivate you?
especially now with Trinidad, he puts in so much time training me that that's like probably my number one motivator. It's like I want to show him, I want to do well for him. Like I'm not really motivated by, it's really just myself. I want to show myself I can do it, and I want to show the people that have
Believe in you.
who believe in me, who have put a lot of
He
work
believes you.
into
Trinidad believes you. He
Yeah.
put money in. I agree. Yeah, and everyone put, and that's great. Yeah, I think you do kind of hold a little weight on that, and it's fair that you should, because they're putting time and weight. They're laying in the bed. They're thinking about, like he said, with his family. Like, am I putting you before the kids or whatever?
Right.
And if you're going to go to that level, then there needs to be this understanding
That's
of I'm
real,
doing this
yeah.
for you, and it's real. And so I think it's important that you do feel that way, and that's good. It's
and
reciprocated.
a reflection of the skills they're teaching you too. You know, like if you can, that's one thing I had to learn. That I'm happy that I'm starting to get now as a pro of when they say something in the corner, being able to execute it.
Now
or when
that-
you
yes.
hear their voice, being able to do it right away, because they see
That's a
stuff
level.
and
That's
it
a level to
works.
hear them though. Like that's what I'm
Yes.
saying. You're not
Yeah.
blacking out in there no more.
Exactly.
You can hear
as an
people.
amateur.
Wow, you can't
people,
hear 'em.
yeah, exactly.
don't
It's
hear
all
'em.
just like, oh shit,
You
like
find
what do I
it
do?
wild.
And now I'm at the point finally where it's like,
Listen.
oh, I get an instruction, I think about how to implement it, I do it. You're really
While
like
you're
thinking.
fighting. While you're
Yeah.
fighting. That's when the
Which is
confidence
nice.
builds.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
that calmness.
at first in your career, it was like you would get tunnel vision. and
Oh
that.
yeah, definitely.
So now you're very like aware of
Yeah.
your surroundings. Can
You
you
can
hear
think.
like are there a lot of fans at some of
Sometimes,
your
yeah.
fights?
You don't really hear that though. Most of the time, that kind of like
You're
fades
zoning
out.
in for You're zoning in for your coaches.
coach,
you hear
yeah.
it.
Do you have any fans right now?
I mean, I
followers
don't
in
know.
your career?
I don't think so. We'll see.
What do
Maybe
you mean?
people
Whatever
will
blows
come
your
to
hair back's a
June
fan.
18th.
Trinidad's a fan. Lalo's a fan.
Yeah.
She's got support. Chicago's got you
I will
back.
say I've only fought in Chicago one time.
It's all right. We still got you.
as
From
a pro.
Chicago.
And people did come out, so that was really nice. It
coming.
actually meant like a ton because no one had ever really seen me fight before. All my friends, they don't know, they're not boxing fans really. Like most of them, they're all nerds like me. Like you know, they don't watch boxing. And a ton of them came out like just for my fight and then left afterwards. And I don't know, it made me feel really good. I'm like, oh, they just came out to support. That's like real friendship, you know?
So you're on a card coming up, aren't you?
Yeah.
Bobby hits his card.
Bobby hits his card. And
June
who are
18th.
you fighting?
Kate Levine. It's gonna be a tough fight.
What's her background like?
Kind of like mine, where she went to all these, was, you know, a ranked amateur, went to all these tournaments, got a lot of good amateur experience, and she's about my same height, so I think that'll be interesting too. It's like fighting the shadow version of yourself, you know?
Yeah, it'll be a good test.
That's
for
good.
you.
So you
Yeah.
did some research on your opponent, even though you said
Yeah.
you don't like to.
Well, I've seen her at these amateur tournaments. We never
Sometimes
fought
you can't
each
avoid
other,
it.
but
Sometimes you can't avoid it.
yeah,
right?
it's like
Yeah.
we're all gonna end up fighting each other.
It's gonna be a good.
girls.
I think it's gonna be a good event because we're gonna be covering.
We're
the
gonna
event.
be
Yeah.
we're gonna be there talking to you.
So we're gonna be getting new footage. We're gonna
That'll be
get.
fun.
It'll be live, so people can actually tune in and watch you fight, even if they don't live here. So your friends in Cincinnati can
Yeah.
be watching the event.
That's the
That'd be
biggest
great.
thing is we want to implement streaming. We're still talking to Bobby Hits.
Yeah.
It's his show, but we're trying to get a streaming aspect from whatever blows your hair back, whatever Billy,
cool.
whatever Bobby decides. It's in negotiation.
Need
with
that. I
them.
want my family to watch. They're not.
Yeah.
I think they're not
Have they
gonna
ever
be
watched you
around.
box or?
My parents came to one amateur fight, my last amateur fight actually.
Yeah.
That was the only one. My sister's
you
never
d-
seen me fight.
Do you think that you could get back on a business level, because we want to implement this for boxers like yourself with family and other places? Could you get 25 ticket sales maybe at a local bar that you're from? Hey, can you guys throw down like $2,000 or whatever, the whole bar, and put this fight on, and we'll stream it here. We can get some people that
Like back in Cincinnati or something?
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
so. I think so.
And they dedicate to you, and it's a fight night in your hometown, and if we can build something like that, and we can get results that we're guaranteed, we can fund making sure that we can stream that to you, and we can show
Right.
up and we can do that as a team. But it's just great to know that someone else will be there to receive the hard
Yeah,
work.
yeah.
And if we could
No, that'd be
guarantee
really cool.
that, because there's other people fighting from different states. What
Oh,
if
yeah,
we
definitely.
What if we hit that segment? It ain't all about Chicago.
Yep.
We get Chicago anyway. They're coming. They want to watch it live.
Yeah.
and then we film it. But would we lose people in Chicago, and would they stay home? But it doesn't matter because the ticket sales.
Yeah.
Ticket sales and ticket sales.
I think that'd be great. For me, it would be great because I definitely feel that sometimes I get a little jealous of the people where their entire family's in Chicago.
Yeah.
Everyone comes out. I'm like, I got
Powerful.
2 sisters. They're spread across the country. They're not, people can't always buy
Yeah, and
a
then they could
flight,
buy it,
you
and
know?
everyone can buy it. And
Just watch
Yeah.
the streamers,
Cool.
your friends from back, from back home, your
Yeah.
high school friends,
All their
college
friends.
friends.
Yep.
We
My
need to
best friend's
implement
living
that
in Italy
somehow.
right now.
She
She's
could
like
watch
in the
it.
military
Yeah, she
over
could
there.
watch it.
So, yeah.
Get a whole military, military guys sitting over there on bases. Love if someone would put on a fight.
fighting.
They do that shit. They put big screens up. They do it for the Super Bowls and everything.
Yeah.
They would do it for that. No one knows that that's an option.
Totally.
No one's giving it an option. It's like, oh, there's a fight here, the end.
Yeah.
It's like, well, I want to watch it. Well, who cares about you? Show up. It's like,
I'm definitely pro moving some of this stuff into the digital age too. Digital tickets, please.
Yeah.
Someday, I'd love to see that.
it has to go. That's the reason
Yeah.
boxing needs to go with the flow of everything.
agree.
If boxing,
That's why
everything
we're
else
here.
going that way.
Yeah.
We're here.
That's why we're here to help with that.
cool.
And I don't want to step on. We don't want to fucking hurt anyone's toes, but that's what we're trying to do here.
Yeah, it'll make everyone grow. Hopefully, Chicago
So-
boxing could be.
Yeah. So going back, I want to kind of go back and talk about the relationship with Trinidad and how that started. So basically, you approached him, he approached you.
I approached him kind of just to talk first. I talked to a couple coaches in there. 'Cause I
So you
knew
were
I
trying to
wanted move.
pick your
Yeah.
match.
Yeah, and it just felt, he gave me a real conversation, felt good. We kind of just vibed well,
Yeah.
matched each other's energy and priorities and stuff, worldviews, kind
Yeah.
of. All that's important because, man, now I spend more time with Trinidad than I do with anyone else in my life, so.
Is that weird?
Yeah.
Do you think that your style changed as soon as you started being trained?
Yeah, he definitely changed my style, and definitely for the better. I think the thing that he did that was good was I had some degree. I mean, I was a ranked amateur. I was 7th in the country or
Oh,
something.
you were a ranked amateur.
Yeah, I was ranked. So I was doing something right.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
won enough that I was doing something right. So he didn't erase what I already had, but
He
he
built on
added
that.
to it.
Okay.
Yeah, and fixed some big
Yeah.
mistakes that I.
And how about
had.
as far as your professional record? What does that look like?
I'm 4-1.
That's a great record.
Hopefully,
I mean,
no more losses.
Any record is a great record, but because getting in the ring is a big deal in the first place. So even if you have a losing record, I mean, it says a lot about you. Period. Even if you're a losing record, but having a winning record, 4-1.
Depends
is
who
a
you're
big
fighting
deal.
too, and I think we've done a good job this past year of I didn't have the most amateur experience. Usually when guys turn pro,
Yeah.
they have Gio, I think, who was here, has 150
Couple
amateur
hundred,
fights.
guys, a couple hundred.
And he's
amateur
amazing.
fights.
He's super skilled because of that. And there's sometimes I'm like, man, I wish I'd started boxing when I was 7 because I'd be a beast by
yeah,
now.
yeah.
But I didn't, so you have to work with it. We did a good
But I think
job.
based on what you're telling me, you are a beast. You're a
Well,
self-made
hopefully,
beast.
yeah.
You know what I'm
But
saying?
she's
I'm
seen-
getting to a beastly level, I think. I'm working on it.
Yeah, seeing little Gio for example, right? There's a piece of talent walking around, and then,
Yeah.
but he's the complete opposite of you, though.
In what way?
In a way that you're more driven than him in a job. I mean, I ain't hating on Gio. He's a great boxer, but everyone's complaining about his work ethic.
I think he has it now, though. I think I've seen him even just the last the last month. He's in there. He's doing extra things. He'll be done with a 2-hour workout, and then he'll go do extra sit-ups. I think he learned.
Yeah, I think he got
something.
past what everybody. He was younger too.
Yeah.
What I was getting at is you're showing up on tournaments by yourself, uninvited, unasked. You're approaching coaches, and you're just going.
You're
to
making it
grind.
happen.
You're making
Yeah.
it happen on your own. Where some kind of natural talent that's growing from the sport doesn't have to do that. And for a guy on the outside looking in, I'm like, what do I want on my team? Who do I want to be involved with?
Yeah.
That guy with the talent
Yeah.
is great and all, but I can't deal with. We're not talking about Gio at this point,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But I want someone who's motivated, who's showing up, who's ears can I stay longer? Or I don't feel like I worked on this that well. Can we stay an extra hour? Instead of the guy I showed up to 3. You wanted me here at 3. I got shit to do. And they find their exit out.
I think it's because
that's the difference.
Yeah,
I'm telling you.
I agree. I think it's because I have to prove it to myself first because I don't have that self-belief, and I don't say that in the sense of confidence. I'm not trying to like look down on myself at all, but I've never been
The better
an athlete.
self. No, you're just
Like,
looking for the better self, the better you.
Yeah.
So you weren't like in high school and stuff. You didn't play sports or anything.
I was
like
on
that,
a varsity academic quiz team, so that might give you an idea.
Holy smokes. So I'm sure your friends from back from high school are extremely surprised that you're.
Oh yeah, they're like, what happened? Yeah, and I think there is a
Trivia.
little bit of that that's like, you know, I was like a brainy kid, like kind of a nerdy kid. I was not picked first in gym class. I'm like, there's a little part of myself that's, but I am competitive, right? I've always been kind of competitive. I've always liked sports and being active. Just wasn't any fucking
Just
good
quizzing,
at it.
you're just good at quizzing
So,
motherfuckers.
yeah, I was just
Being
good at being a
quizzed.
know-it-all.
Yeah.
So
It's
now
tough
I'm
in
like
this guy.
learning, but it's just a different kind of learning. I've realized it's like, you know, I might not have certain natural coordination or, you know, whatever, but you can learn showing up and being willing to learn is like.
Ooh,
most-
that's a good topic
That's
I want
the
to talk
first
about. Let's talk coordination and like you just said it. Like some people, some boxers, some would say they're unorthodox. I would say maybe they're just not as defined or formed. But that person who's in better shape, has less form, more sloppier a little bit, and you're like, this guy hasn't been around, or a girl hasn't been around in the gym that much. But the other person who's just all skilled, but they can lose very easily to that person with the heart and drive, and like they know they're not that good and they're kind of sloppy.
That was me in my I was the opposite of that. I was the person who would sometimes lose in my amateur career because of that. Because I'm such a thinker about stuff.
Yeah.
That I've always wanted to perfect my skill. Even to this day, Trinidad's always like, "Why are you looking for the perfect place to aim your body shots?" Right?
Wow,
Just
someone's
throw
coming
it.
at you like a windmill.
Exactly. It's like, 'cause I want to get him like right where it's gonna drop him, and he's like, "Don't worry about like you just have to go sometimes." And it's taken a while for me to realize like. Yes, it's boxing, it's a sport, but like it's a fight first and foremost. And a lot of the time in my amateur career, I'd think like, well, but they're not hurting me, right? If they're not hurting me, then like, how can they be winning?
For sure.
Because points, because they're just.
Well, you ever
throwing
heard
whatever.
suppressive fire? It's called like when you lay fire down to let other people move in the military.
Right.
Put suppressive fire, the machine gunners down, and we bound forward. That's what your jabs do. That your
Right.
jab is suppressive fire. It's like you keeping something in this dude's face, girl's face. I'm sorry, I keep saying that.
It's dudes a lot of the time too.
Yeah, and you're suppressing fire, and like that's why you're punching. But you want to sit back and wait for that move. Because
Right.
you're like, I'm waiting. He's gonna drop his right hand. I'm gonna clock him, and I'm gonna wait for it. I'm gonna keep to the right. But then you're giving him time to think.
Yeah,
you
and
need
to
to
do
suppress
stuff.
fire because his
Yeah.
head's down. He's bobbing. He's not thinking no more. So
Yeah.
that's the same thing. So it's a defense.
Very
So you're
true.
fighting very offensively. Just from hearing you, but that's good defense to suppress to keep.
Offense is the best defense, is what they say.
Yeah,
Which
just
is
keep
kind of true.
Keep
yeah.
throwing punches at them, but keeping yourself informed. 'Cause you want to preserve your energy too. It's a fucking chess game.
Yeah.
It's like when do you do that, when you're not. But I think that's what you're going to do, and I think you're going to become a great fighter because of it, and recognizing all that stuff.
Thanks.
I had
hope
a couple questions about obviously the Canelo fight was such a big deal. You watched it, I assume.
I watch almost every Canelo fight because I love Canelo, and I didn't watch this last one because it was a like $60 pay-per-view, and now
Okay.
I'm single and I live alone, and I was like, I'm not.
You're not
no,
paying.
Well, how are
I'm
we
not
going to
paying
want
it.
$60 streams if we didn't got you paying to watch pros doing 60?
I think I already have the DAZN subscription though. You know,
Yeah.
you gotta.
I wanna charge
you gotta-
$60.
But you know that most people aren't paying. People are going to each other's houses and like having some drinks
That's what we
and
did.
like.
That's
yeah.
what we did.
I just can't do that because I'm training and I don't want to be around.
That's
beer.
why we got to get a whole bar. We got to get a whole bar
Yeah.
involved.
But people, yeah, I should have, but no, I didn't.
But you know a little bit about what happened in the fight.
Oh yeah, I
right?
watched
So
like
for-
highlights. And
Yeah.
stuff,
So for example, this goes to, I'm just using this as an example, but it would apply to anything. One of the things that I heard at the end, the opponent, what was the guy,
The Russian. I just call him the Russian.
the Russian guy.
Duval,
Yeah,
right?
Duval.
Yeah.
His coach was saying that, Canelo is fighting he did a lot, but now he's beyond the weight limit.
Yeah,
That no matter
I
who
agree.
he fights, do you think that's true?
Yeah, I think size, and it's frustrating, but size eventually will become a problem. There's always I was talking about this with someone the other day. There's always like some
So size
line.
matters.
Size does matter.
Size does matter.
It matters in almost every area of life.
Oh! Whoa!
We'll just leave it there.
We'll leave it there.
Yeah.
That's why I work out my arms. That's why I work out my arms. You know?
Exactly. Yeah.
So anyways, go ahead.
There's always a line though, like you can be the most skilled person ever, but there's gonna be eventually, and you might be able to beat someone even a couple weight classes above you, but there's eventually gonna be a line where it's like they're just too big.
That's a perfect example. I mean, the guy, for me, Canelo is
couldn't read-
amazing to get to where he is. I mean, but
But the guy had a really
I think
good
it was
read.
supernatural
Back on
what he
that.
did, to be honest with
Oh
you.
yeah, totally.
Back on that fight, I watched it. And, it was just a lot of jabs, simple shit. Canelo is a defensive slip fighter, from my knowledge. From me watching him, and he was getting tagged with him. He couldn't miss and do his all set up, and the guy just kept pumping jabs. It's the number
So then
one.
there's my second thing. My second point was what you were talking about, of saying, do you think that Canelo stuck to the script too much? Because like he was trying to do the
Yes.
same, like he was
Oh,
trying
come on.
to
You're asking her, I'm
punch
sorry.
the arm. So
Yeah.
Do you think that he stuck to the script too much?
I think now I want to go back and watch the whole fight because I don't want to, speak in an uninformed way. But from what I hear, it seemed like maybe he wasn't switching it up enough, right? So if you're going through a fight and you have a 10 or 12 round fight, if by round 5 or 6 it's not working, someone in your corner.
Yeah, some of
the
for sure.
Even if you're world class, even if you're Canelo, like you have to be able to switch it up, and that's much easier said than done. Like. Believe me, like it's much easier said than done. But someone at his level, I guess he needed to do something different. I don't know what he could have done though. Maybe that guy's just too strong. I don't know.
I don't have any say on that either. But he definitely got outboxed in that for sure.
And it was a huge height difference too,
There was a
which
huge
matters.
size difference.
But he beat wasn't
beat
it
all
like
those other
Liam
guys.
Smith or there's some other super tall.
Now we're
guy
just
that-
looking for excuses for him, at the end of the day, right? It's like you
But
choose to
I
fight
like
him.
that he lost because I'm a big Canelo fan. I think he's an amazing boxer. I like that he lost because it makes boxing more interesting. I don't really like the thing now of like boxers shouldn't lose. It's like the leftovers from like the Mayweather effect of like it's bad if you lose. Like it's a sport. If you always know who's gonna win,
It's not gonna be fun.
Yeah, it's not fun for fans to watch. So you want like even
You're right.
fights
You're
where you
right.
don't
You're
know.
right. You broke that down really well. Good job.
Thank you.
Let me ask you another question about the theatricals in boxing. These guys are coming out, like especially when they're world champs. I want to get your view on obviously, I imagine that you're sticking with this because you want to be a world champ. Am I correct? Or
Yeah, definitely.
okay, so once you get to that level and you actually, you're able to make an entrance. I mean, you can make an entrance however you want to now, but obviously these guys are using a lot of the theatricals to come out into the boxing ring, and they're coming out with a posse. They're coming out with like
Right.
a
Say
mariachi
it.
band.
Yeah.
He loves mariachi.
Yeah.
Man. The guy
So-
loves mariachi. Man.
I mean,
So-
some of the
so-
stuff is super fun.
Yeah. So at some point, like, do you think you would see yourself as a world champ that would like maybe bring those traditional like things, or make a show to make an entrance? Or
It's kind of a funny thing to think about. It's hard to think about it until you're there, I think, because I don't want to like jump the gun too much. I don't want to get ahead of myself.
Well put.
But
I get it.
I also kind of, my personality, I'm not saying no. Like, I think there's definitely some fun in that. Or if you have a lead up where you're kind of like,
With a
if there's a
song or
little
something.
conflict between people and maybe there's some like funny shit you can do. I don't know. But I'm a little more, I kind of like the people that are like, I'm walking out to the song that makes me feel good before a fight. I'm just kind of walking out in sort of a normal outfit, and we're just gonna go fight. And
Is
to
that the
me,
more
I
the
like.
kind of person you are?
I think so. Yeah, I like
I
that.
like that.
But
I
you
like
might. Sometimes you have to change.
I
for
feel like
the
that's
sake
a
of-
personality. I feel that's good that everyone does something different because that's how you give a personality to a fighter.
Yeah.
And
just because you're not like a showman doesn't mean. To
No.
me, I'd rather the skills speak
Now,
for
do you
themselves.
think that the Canelo, like, or I'm just using Canelo as an example, but there's a million fighters that come out with a show. Do you think that show is put together by the people behind the scenes and not really the fighter? Like, if it was up to
don't
Canelo,
know.
do you think that he would really have that show?
I think the fighter has some say. Yeah.
that's a really good question.
Yeah, that's a great question.
That's a good question.
You
I'm
have
like
to ask
thinking,
them. I don't know.
because you got to think when you're in the back. There's a whole. That's when the team's involved.
Yeah.
The walkout, I would say, boxing's a team. We talked
Yeah.
about that on other episodes too. Boxing's a team sport, and when you're walking out, yeah, it's the fighter, but everyone else is walking out with you too a little bit. Like
Yeah.
I don't know, like that's I don't
and
know.
there's
the
also a
answer.
managing company behind this whole.
Yeah,
Like, for example, like
The whole-
Jessica was there. Yeah,
Yeah.
Jessica. She was, obviously she's there.
The whole country's
She's
back
there,
in some.
you
That's
know,
another thing.
and she said her preference is
Nobody.
Low
Nobody.
key, yeah.
Low
She
key.
and actually, she's a great example of someone that I think like she comes out kind of just this is who I am, kind of simple, and then she goes and like whoops people's asses. And I like that. I think that's like cooler because otherwise you might have like Deontay Wilder who comes out with an amazing show. And I'm a film person. Like I like it. I'm
You
like this is
appreciate
fun.
it.
This is like
Yeah.
musical theater or something.
Yeah.
But
That's
if
a-
you don't win, it doesn't really.
That's
count
a
for
great
anything,
example
you
too,
know?
because like he had like this giant, huge mass. Like, dude, you went on to be a professional actor before you went and fought.
Yeah.
The gear you put on,
Yeah.
like you were worried about what everyone. I was thinking that. Were you thinking that? I'm like, dude, this guy
You
needs
have
to
to
worry about
pull.
boxing.
You have to pull it off. I think if you do that and then you
Win.
fight well and win,
can
and
pull it
not
off.
just win, but also like it's an entertaining fight.
Yeah.
You fight with heart. Then it's like everyone loves it. But if you do all that and then you kind of have like a
Yeah, they laugh at
lackluster,
you.
yeah.
He put himself out there, right? Like,
Yeah.
You gotta respect that he put himself out there, though. You're right, though. Isn't it crazy? Like, you can be this great person and put this great show on, and everyone loves it, and then you lose, everyone
and
makes
everybody-
fun of
yeah.
you.
Boxing fans are pretty
It's tough.
pretty
It's
rough.
tough.
It's like
yeah.
the drunk guy at a party that does a backflip off the picnic table. If he makes it, everyone's like, yeah.
Yeah.
But if he breaks his neck, everyone's like, what a fucking idiot.
Right.
John
does
wasn't
that?
supposed to be here. We knew he was a liability.
Yes.
Now he's dead. And, you know, like, that's that same decision on how you land that extra couple inches is just your whole life, how people are going to judge
And
you.
boxing, especially now with social media and stuff, my least favorite thing is that boxing fans, like casual boxing fans, everyone's a bum now. Canelo's a bum. The greatest fighters in the
They're
world. are
hard
bums.
on ya.
It's like that word doesn't even mean anything anymore because it just means like someone likes the other guy. Like,
Yeah.
It doesn't even mean anything anymore.
Well, this guy used to win. He's not now. You can only be on. It's like a life meter. It's got to come down. You can only,
Yeah.
except for fucking Mayweather. He got up to 50 and he doesn't get to get the crash, and that's the effect that he's putting on the rest of the sport.
To some degree, yeah, I think to some degree, yeah.
To some, no, you said that right. Like back in the
that's
day,
the expectation.
you just
Yeah.
matched people's fights to win. If they're good fighters,
Right.
you put them out there.
I mean, Muhammad Ali lost fights.
All
you
those
know, it was
guys
fine.
did.
the
No one,
best.
they don't care about that.
Yeah.
Did you ever watch Tyson fights? Have you watched some of his
I've
fights?
watched some of the old fights,
was
yeah.
incredible.
Oh, he's a
That guy was
monster,
incredible,
yeah.
yeah.
Monster's the word. I watch.
never forget
all
it.
Even now, did you guys see when he came back to do
Yeah,
this like
yeah, he was
exhibition fight?
incredible.
He still kind of looked a little scary.
yeah,
I was like,
for
I wouldn't
sure.
want to
When was
fight
this
him.
expedition fight?
Not too long ago.
Like a
against,
year ago or
like-
Oh yeah, I was very
Yeah.
disappointed in that actually.
Yeah.
I was disappointed in that. He should. But yeah, yes, it
But
was
he's
good. He was in
still,
great
for
shape.
Like a 55-year-old
Yeah,
dude or
Yeah,
whatever,
yeah.
It's
And,
like, okay.
and at the caliber, but to the caliber of fighter he was fighting,
I know.
to the what he used to do, he even knew it after it was done. It was like sloppy or whatever.
Sometimes it's better to let the
Let it
past
go, let it
just.
go, yeah, yeah.
Thank
what
you.
it is,
Thank
yeah.
you. Just let the
But
past
he
go.
seemed.
But it was a
what I
business
liked-
move, I
It was a
think.
business move, but
think.
he also seemed like
Oh,
he's
it has
having
to be.
fun.
He
right?
was because it's a business move now. He's
Yeah.
like, this ain't my career. I don't give a fuck.
He doesn't
Yeah.
give a fuck anymore. He's doing it for fun.
What are you doing for
Yeah.
money, probably?
He's doing- yeah.
I think the Logan Paul brothers want to fight him,
Yeah.
and I think he's going to do that one again.
That's
Because you know
crazy.
people are going to pay millions to
Oh,
see it.
yeah.
Why not catch an extra? He's got to send his kids to college.
I guarantee you.
I would be careful if I was a Paul brother about fighting him even at 55 or whatever.
I would love if he
be
knocked
careful.
one out and end him.
Oh, I
It
would
would
love
end the
it.
Paul brothers.
Yeah.
I would love it. I would love
I
it.
They might
mean-
even set it up for that. You know, that's a whole little gimmick
We'll,
itself.
we'll fucking do the fight here.
We're talking
Right.
about, like, you're a pro boxer. I've been in the game for a while. We're talking about the Paul brothers who've been in the game for 2 years. They got to fight the best. And now they get to be on everyone's talk show. And I still have weird feelings about that. And I think a lot of people do. But it is
Yeah.
what it is.
Yeah.
That is what it is. They adapted. They overcome
They did their
what's
thing.
going on with the internet.
Yeah.
They capitalized when they could. They made their move. They ended up where they did. It's a chess move.
Mm-hmm.
I applaud them, and they're great for that. It just feels weird sometimes on how they
Yeah.
got there opposed to somebody else getting there. That's it. That's the only.
Yeah.
That's where I draw the line. Like, it just feels weird for me.
I used to, even just a couple years ago, I was saying like, man, these guys suck. Like, if they're gonna have these big money fights and like fight like kind of like amateurs and
Yeah.
be bullshit, like they should at least do something good with it. And I will say I kind of like take it back now because at least Jake Paul, I don't know what kind of dude he is. Probably maybe not my favorite kind of dude. Maybe we wouldn't be buddies.
Yeah.
But I have to say now with the Katie Taylor Amanda Serrano fight, he'd put big money into women's boxing. He's also working on like union stuff for the UFC, trying to like get worker conditions to be better.
He has to. This is
appreciate that
yeah.
stuff.
That's because that's why he did it. Now hating on his great business move because he's like, man, these motherfuckers are not gonna accept me.
Yeah.
Fuck it, throw money at them.
Yeah.
They ain't accepting me. I'm gonna go there and hug them and kiss them and show
Well,
up.
yeah.
They're showing up being announcers, and it's like, they're involved in their sport in the boxing. It's been 2 years they're accepted.
And that's the thing. It's like I don't know what his motivations are, and maybe they're like
The motivation
not
is
great,
to not be
but
hated on.
if you're gonna make some change, I guess I'm not gonna complain about it, right?
And you know what? They're bringing some money to the sport. They're bringing
eyes.
entertainment and eyes.
Yeah.
And so they're bringing us talking points right now.
Absolutely.
When we were at the Katie Taylor, Amanda Serrano weigh-ins, it was a great weigh-in, but there were these little kids next to me, like 7-year-old boys who I think I don't know where their parents were, not next to them. They were running amok, like doing whatever. But as soon as they saw Jake Paul, they were went ballistic. Like little kids love.
They got them.
I don't get it, and I don't even know if it's healthy. But at least it's bringing more kids
And
to
they're
the sport.
gonna take those kids all the way up.
And maybe those kids will take some boxing classes. I don't know.
So good. I'm glad that you mentioned weigh-ins because I wanted to ask you about that during the weigh-ins. Is there when you're weighing in against another fighter, is there an actual is there any kind of animosity or do you try to put up a
I think
poker
it's
face?
I try to just I think it's so silly, and I know that it's again showmanship is part of the sport.
I know the feeling, the silly
But
feeling you're talking about.
it's funny because first of all, you're so whenever I see dudes weighing in, I'm like, they're half naked, they're standing this close, staring into each other's eyes, just make out. That's what you're right there. Please, just that's what everyone really wants to see. But anyways,
that's what you want to see.
everyone wants to see. I don't know. It's just
So you're
funny.
making out? Are you making out with your opponents when you're face to face, half naked?
But I think
That's what I want to see.
It's funny because it's there's all this intense energy between people, and
it's a funny scene.
Yeah, it's funny, right?
It is,
You're
and you
up
know
in
they're
your
faking
underwear.
it too.
When else am I up there in my underwear in front of a whole crowd of people? It's weird, right?
And you're faking
so
the face.
Yeah, it's hard to.
So you never had a moment with your opponent where you guys,
try to just,
yeah.
I'm not over. Some people are overly polite and overly friendly and sportsmanlike. That's cool. I'll give a handshake or whatever, but I don't like the hey buddy, because no, we're not buddies. We're gonna fight tomorrow, and I want to kick your ass. But I'm also not gonna be the person who's mean mugging and. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, what matters is what happens in the fight.
Do you get angry in the ring or?
No, I think, it's funny. I get the angriest during sparring. Sometimes sparring dudes, every once in a while, I'll get a little, if someone really hits me with a really good shot, I'll get a little pissed off. But in fights, it's better to stay calm, I think.
So you stay pretty calm and collected.
Yeah.
Okay.
What do you do? Have you ever got punched in the face so hard that you just had to hold it together and you knew that your fucking knees were about to buckle? Have you been there yet?
Yeah. Oh,
Have you
I've
been
been
there?
dropped. Yeah, for sure. But you can't do anything about it sometimes. I mean, if someone hits you in the right spot, you can try all you
You can't even
want.
get mad. Have you ever been hit so hard it made you happy? I've been hit
Oh,
so
yeah.
fucking hard, knocked out, got up laughing and hugged the dude. I'm like, you got me the fuck out. And to this day, I'm like, dude, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Well, I was in the dude's face. I was seriously mad. My brain just went, you're happy now? After I got up, knocked the fuck out, everyone's like, dude, you were snoring. I was snoring.
Well, that's not great.
Not good at all.
No.
I was embarrassed.
Did you have a headache afterwards?
I was
You have a-
embarrassed.
No, I don't know what was going on. It happened, all of it. And I look back to this day, and I'm like, man, that's fucked up. I hugged the dude. I bought him. I was just
Bought him
so
a beer
into him. Like I
afterwards.
loved him, and he just knocked me out in front of everybody. And I was snoring on the ground, and people thought I was going to die. And then I got up hugging the dude. It was
a lot
fucking
of weird
weird.
emotions in boxing.
And-
One of the dudes that knocked me out was a dude that I used to date, actually.
Get out.
So that's why you don't date people that
Was
you
he
box
boxing?
with. Yeah, we were
Oh.
Muay Thai, but back in the day.
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
So lesson learned. Yeah.
It's not healthy,
Don't-
anyways.
Not
like-
good to bring emotions into.
Goes tells
the
you
ring.
what your brain goes through when you knock out. You're totally just reset. Literally say reset. I woke up a happy dude.
Yeah. Well, luckily I've never been knocked out cold like that. I've been dropped, but that's happened 3 times to me.
All
which
men
is
or one?
all men, yeah. But it's never been no one's ever knocked me out.
Have you ever knocked
I'll go
anybody
down,
out?
Get back up.
Have you
you
ever
ever
knocked
knocked
someone out snoring?
No, not snoring. I've knocked a couple people down.
It's
but-
dangerous. You feel danger for them. Like
Yeah.
I've done it. I freak out. Like there's, I'm like, holy fuck, dude! Like it's real, man.
Oh, yeah.
It's real.
And
They're
actually-
snoring like crazy.
It's the craziest part of the sport because during a real fight, it's people love seeing knockouts. I love seeing knockouts. You want to see that, and then it's a weird up and down feeling because it brings everyone to such a high when the knockout happens, and then like 2 seconds later, you're like, ooh,
The dude ain't moving. It's
that's
like, man,
not,
it's
like,
not-
it's not good.
anymore. Yeah.
It
And like
is-
no one wants anyone really.
No,
to
I
get
don't want the
hurt,
dude
you know?
hurt. You know, even if you're the one knocking him out. Like, I get scared. I really do. I get scared.
So
Yeah.
so on the 18th, if a knockout happens, are you on your favor? Are you against it? Or?
I'm always going for the knockout. Like,
Alright, cool,
yeah, you
cool.
can't think like that.
Hell yeah.
No.
Yeah, we're remorseful. I'm like, fuck you.
No, I'm gonna, definitely gonna try to knock her out. Yeah.
All right, cool.
We'll see. It's harder for women. You know, the 2-minute rounds don't
Yeah.
have quite enough time sometimes.
Do
but-
you on the 18th? Are you guys fighting for a belt, or is that just?
TBD. Not sure.
Oh, not sure?
But
I
it
hope
is-
there's a belt.
It is possible.
I felt the belt today, 5 of them.
Have
It
you
ain't
you
like-
held one of those belts? yet?
Never.
All right, I
would-
never
would like
held one
to.
either. And I think
I
it's a
never
re-
have, and those things weigh like 12 pounds.
They're heavy?
They're heavy as hell.
Sounds nice. I mean, I have belts, but not
Yeah.
real belts.
That's
I got
right.
amateur belts.
Yeah, that's what I was
Different.
saying. Like, these ones, you know, like you want to pet the back of them, like
yeah.
it touches your skin. It's like that's real
Yeah, it's
fur.
incredible.
Or something.
Yeah. So I'm hoping that if not this time, then soon. Hopefully that opportunity comes.
Yeah.
But it should be a longer fight, like 8 maybe 10 rounds. We'll see.
Are you ready for 8 to 10 rounds?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
We've been sparring at a lot of rounds.
Yeah.
I think I sparred like 14 rounds today.
Oh, wow.
So yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Ready.
how you do it, though.
Yeah.
That's how you
So
do it.
after
3-minute
this,
round.
I know that usually fighters don't like to look beyond that next fight.
Yeah.
But I mean, is there anything beyond that in the future that's already lined up, or?
There's nothing lined up. I think we're gonna have to see how it plays out and who's available. The option sometimes for women, especially at my weight class, it's limited. You know.
Do you
So we'll
have
to
your eyes
see.
on a fighter yet?
So some of the people who are more well known, who do have world titles or whatever, I've definitely been kind of like looking at those people, even just for myself, like where are my skills at compared to theirs? Who do I think I can kind of
Can you
target?
give me some of
between
those
us?
names, or do you feel comfortable?
Yeah. So I mean, Hannah Rankin is one. She just fought this past weekend, and actually, unfortunately, her opponent is in the hospital currently in a coma. So it's
From fighting her.
yes. So that's
So,
the
yeah,
kind
I'm
of thing
sure
with,
she feels
with
bad, but at the same time,
exactly.
she's like, yeah, no, she's like, damn, I don't want.
But it's sad. I mean, it's scary.
Yeah.
Like boxing is a very serious sport. So yeah. Side note, but she's a good fighter, Scottish fighter that I think would be a good matchup. Maricela Cornejo. Do you know who she is? She's kind of like, she's been around for a while. She's pretty well known.
Where's she from?
She is from California.
Okay.
I think like San Diego area. She would be a good matchup.
Rick Ramos named the girl. He showed us a picture that she was in a coma. She was complaining
Oh,
about.
Rick
Rick
was
was
talking
because
about
Rick
her.
came back.
She used to spar with us.
Yeah,
here,
and then she came. No, she's good now because he was saying
Is she?
there or
Okay.
something. Yeah, she's
Okay,
back.
good.
She's back now.
Okay,
Yeah,
good.
similar
That
story.
makes me feel better. I was
Sorry,
worried
delayed
about
on
her
that.
today.
I'm like,
Yeah.
Rick was talking about a girl in a coma.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
like, oh, it's the same chick. She's good now. He said
Okay,
it. He
good
said
to
she was
hear.
good.
Yeah, I'm glad.
She just took too much of a beating. Or?
Had a brain bleed, I think. They had to do
Holy
surgery.
smokes.
Yeah. So it does happen. That kind of shit does worry me.
And she's fighting the girl that did that.
Maybe.
Maybe. That's
maybe.
That's
Yeah,
who
I
I'd
mean,
like
that's
to
who you're
fight.
looking-
oh, I'm sorry, yeah,
But
that's who
hey,
you're looking-
I feel
You feel confident.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Is there another
Styles.
person besides?
Yeah,
those
who
two
else?
girls?
I mean, honestly, for me, there are people who I know right now I need a little more experience. And I know you're not kind of supposed to say that as a fighter,
it's
but I
being
think
honest.
it's
No, it's good to be-
realistic. Like,
yeah.
I need a little more experience before I think I can beat them. But all the girls at the top of the game, the Clarissa Shields, Savannah Marshall, who else is up there? Franchon Cruz. They're these girls that have world titles, and they're great. And some of them might stay great forever and might always have that edge on me. But sometimes, some of them I really think, especially for women, the skill difference is like, we can get there. Like, it's not that wide.
I agree with you. Yeah, the skills.
And styles make fights too. So sometimes, someone like Clarissa Shields
You're right.
is an amazing technical fighter, great amateur, lots of experience. I've heard she doesn't hit that hard. So what does that say if maybe you're the person with the power? Like, there might be a way to kind of find a weakness.
Who's number one right now at your weight class?
Her,
Yeah.
Shields. And then Savannah Marshall, she's someone who's interesting because she, out of any women fighting now, she's like knocking everyone out cold.
Now, for example, let me ask you a question. Like we talked to Bobby Hitz, for example, and he said he fought George Foreman, and he said he took that fight. The only reason he took that fight was because he knew it was a good business opportunity. you saying that you may not feel ready for some of these fighters, would you take the fight if it was offered to you, even though you're not ready, just as a business opportunity?
I think yes for some of them, but I think it probably depends on the timing. But there's no one out there, and I do truly believe this. And coming from me as like not the most, I'm not like a super cocky fighter or whatever. So it says something. I don't think any of these girls are hurting me. Like I really don't think that even the best in the world right now. I think I'll give them a good fight.
So if
like
Clarissa, if they wanted to match this fight up for the next cup for the upcoming year 2023, you would take the fight.
I would take the fight. Yeah.
Awesome.
Would I win? I think there's a chance, but I think right now her skill level is higher than my skill level. I would have to come up with another plan. I would have to work on
Hey,
it.
you're just being real. You're just being real.
Yeah.
Which is good. You know you can get there, but you're just not there yet. And but if the opportunity came,
But I don't think she's knocking me out.
Yeah.
so you're taking the fight maybe then if the opportunity came.
Yeah.
Depending the whiplash of where you'll end. It's all about where you're going to end up after that if you catch the L.
And that's the thing, is the only way you can say whatever you want, but the only way you really know where you're at is once you do it.
Yeah,
and sometimes you have a bad day, but unfortunately that doesn't matter. Like if you have a bad day on the day of the fight, it sucks. But and maybe Canelo had a bad day. You know what I mean?
It doesn't matter at the end of the day.
Do you
Yeah.
think fighting someone like that and taking a loss would hurt or
It would hurt,
benefit you?
yeah.
For sure,
I
I
would-
think
it
it
would
would
hurt
hurt.
your career.
Oh, it
Yeah,
would hurt her bad.
definitely.
I think it would hurt too.
Yeah. I feel a lot of
Actually,
pressure
it's early.
now. Like
Not she's not early in her career, but it's,
I am, yeah. I mean, I need to win, and I feel
Need to
that
win.
pressure now, which is pressure. You don't have that as an amateur as much. You want to win.
Well, now
but
there's
you don't
people
have to
invested
win.
financially. You're invested financially.
Yeah.
There's money on the line now.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
There's blood.
And I take that pretty seriously. Like
As
I
you
don't want to.
should.
I
As
don't
you
want to mess that up. So.
Yeah.
No.
So as
I
far
would
as
too.
like on the 18th, the girl that you're fighting, is she also from the area? Or?
She's from Kansas, I think.
From
Yeah,
Kansas.
she's coming in.
Corn-
Yeah, we were
cornbread.
gonna. Yeah, exactly.
Cornbread,
We were gonna fight in Iowa a few weeks
Yeah.
ago, but it got moved. So.
Okay, well we're gonna be fortunate enough. We're gonna be there watching that.
Yeah, that'll be great.
Yeah. Kiefer, I don't know if you have any more
No, I'm
questions
good.
to ask Kiefer.
Yeah, it's
He's been quiet for a while.
So let's say you start dating, right?
Uh huh.
And then you go to a bar and some random guy comes and smacks your ass. Who's fighting? You or the date?
Well, this has happened before, so I can tell you. I'm not fighting. I'm not. I'm good. I might have some curse words to say, but probably I'm not going to fight because I don't want.
What's happening? It's
Especially
happening.
now,
If
I'm
you
a
didn't-
pro boxer. That doesn't. I know I'm a woman, but it still doesn't look great. Someone's gonna call the cops, then I'm gonna get in trouble.
She's
It's fine.
smart.
You can smack my ass, whatever. But you shouldn't do it because it's rude, and I will tell you that. So, but I don't like people fighting for me either. If it came down to that, then I would prefer to be like,
Take this
tag
in the
me
ring
and
on
I'll handle it.
Saturday.
Yeah. What else you got? Anything that you want to talk about that you want to get off your chest? Because a lot of people use it. Have you been using whatever blows your hair back to get stuff off your
Get
chest?
Yeah, that's kind of a
So I mean, you know, we've
Talk
asked
to
you a lot of
camera.
questions. So if you want to like get something off your chest, here's the chance.
I don't have anything extra to say now. I think you asked me a lot of good questions, so thank you. It was a fun time. Except don't smack people's asses in bars. That's the only thing I want to say.
Good deal. All right. Well, we'll leave you with that. That was Whatever Blows Your Hair Back. Olivia, we're going to have her live from Rosemont on
June 18th.
June 18th.
Bobby hits his show.
Bobby hits a show. What?
At the Rosemont. It's not at the convention. It's the Rosemont.
The dome.
The
maybe,
dome.
or
It's the baseball.
ballpark?
The ballpark. It's the bank. The Rosemont. Or no, it's called the Park Bank. Fuck, I'm fucking it up.
Look it up. Google it.
We gotta get it right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we
we
gotta
gotta
get it right.
for the video.
It's on my. It's Park. I got it's on my phone. Parkway Bank. Where's
Why
my
do they
phone?
name stadium like
They
places
should
like
have named. They
this?
should have named it easier.
Well, Bobby even sent it to me, and he's like, "Oh, this says it wrong. It's this actually." I'm
he
like, "Oh
wants
my
to-
goodness."
Yeah. Because there's 2 stadiums there too,
Yeah.
so gotta get the right one.
Yeah. So.
Now I'm all amped up. Now I want to go fight after all this. Good motivation, I guess.
Yeah, that's
The
awesome.
Parkway,
Nice.
the Parkway
Good show.
Bank Park, right? Well, this is the one. No, I got a text. Bobby sent it. He changed it on me. He sent me other new flyers.
Oh, we have flyers now? I didn't even see
Yeah,
that.
I don't know if you guys are coming out on, but the main 4. Bobby's been sending me these ones right here. Bobby hits. Here he is. And then, so it's at the Parkway Bank. right there.
Tank, oh,
the
Tank
punk
fighting.
at the Parkway Bank Sports Complex.
Oh yeah.
All right.
Yep, Parkway Bank Sports Complex.
All right, so again, Olivia on the show. She'll be fighting June 18th at the Parkway Bank Sports Complex in Rosemont. We expect to be, we're going to be there, whatever blows your hair back, hopefully streaming the fight, commentating on the fight. It's going to be an exciting fight, and maybe even fighting for a belt.
Yep, and if you guys will let us in you guys' locker rooms or whatever, we'd love to be in the back while you're getting your hands wrapped, getting pumped
Sure.
up.
You can feel all the tense energy.
I know that's got to come with you and your team. You got to talk with your team that you want us there. This ain't something that we get to invite ourselves into. This is something that you guys have to invite us into.
Okay.
And we would feel privileged to have that invite and not feel like we have to force our way in.
Sure thing.
So if you
Yeah,
guys could
I'll
bring
talk
that
to them.
up and take care of the camera guys,
Sure. Yeah.
we'll give
okay.
back the love tenfold.
Cool. That
right.
sounds good to me.
Well, thanks so
Yeah.
much for being on set today, Olivia.
Yeah.
We really appreciate it. We thought it was a really good interview, and we'll leave you guys with that.
See ya.